Selma. This time, the Alabama state troopers saluted. The late John Lewis crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge for the final time Sunday in a triumphant celebration of his tireless fight for civil rights, often in the face of violent resistance. Mourners cheered, sang and cried as a horse-drawn carriage carried Lewis' flag-draped casket over the Alabama River and toward Montgomery. Red rose petals led the way on this final journey, covering pavement that was once stained with his blood, when hordes of state troopers attacked him 55 years ago. Lewis and hundreds of marchers came to the bridge on Bloody Sunday in 1965 to demand an end to restrictions that blocked black citizens from voting. Law enforcement beat the peaceful protesters with clubs and showered them with tear gas. Still, Lewis and the others returned days later, marching from Selma to the Alabama Capitol in Montgomery to amplify their call for voting rights. Their work spurred national action led to the passage of the Voting Rights Act later that year. The sloping bridge in Selma became a symbol of the civil rights movement, and of Lewis' perseverance. In 2015, on the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, he walked the bridge arm in arm with former President Barack Obama. Lewis' work continued for decades after Bloody Sunday, culminating with a lengthy tenure representing Atlanta in the U.S. House of Representatives. He died July 17 from pancreatic cancer. His sprawling memorial tour reflected the scale of his impact. He was 80. A lot more bridges to cross. He was honored as a hometown hero Saturday at Troy University in Alabama, a campus where he was never allowed to enroll because he was black. Then, his funeral procession headed to Selma before retracing the route of his marches to Montgomery, where he lay in state at the Alabama Capitol. The funeral procession is expected to proceed to the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., and then to Atlanta this week. Lewis' even-tempered leadership and persistence were emblematic of the civil rights movement that reshaped the Jim Crow South and laid the groundwork for generations of nonviolent protests against racism. Memorial services and vigils this weekend celebrated Lewis' unyielding commitment to the cause of equal rights. Speakers and community members celebrated his legacy while urging a new generation of activists to step forward. Many said a new surge of activism surrounding Black Lives Matter and police violence underscored the urgency of the work. "We have a lot more bridges to cross without John," U.S. Representative Terri Sewell said Saturday during a service at Brown Chapel AME Church in Selma. Sewell D-Birmingham, and others called for renewal of the Voting Rights Act, some of which was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2013. Lewis' example would lead the way, she said. John never gave up hope, she said. His optimism is what he inspired in all of us. We're all infused with that optimism.